everyone, thank you so much for joining us today as part of our Journey to Uni webinar series here at UA92. Today's session is looking at the 92 programme. Before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about UA92. So if you haven't heard of us already, we are a deliberately different institution based in South Manchester, in Old Trafford and in Spinningfields, and we specialise in business, media, sports and digital. You can check out more about those courses on our website, but we do things a little bit differently, don't we, at UA92 than we do other universities. Basically, we try and make sure that our students are at the very centre of every single thing that we do, from the development to the experience to the career aspect. It's part of the course as well. So we have a little bit of a different journey to getting to UA92 as well. So we're founded by former Manchester United players, part of the class of 92, which we'll get to in a second because it's very relevant to the 92 programme. We are also co-founded by Lancaster University, who award all of our degrees, making sure that you're getting the best possible experience with the UA92 course and experience as part of that. We also, I would say is my favourite part, is that we have over 100 partners that we work with to give our students the best possible experience so they have a glowing CV by the time they've graduated. So that will be from business insight days to networking opportunities, guest speakers, placement opportunities, mentors, the lot, basically. In terms of our unique selling points, the things that make us a little bit different than other universities, there are honestly so many to choose from, but the basic main ones would be we have multiple intakes. So rather than just starting in September, October, we know that's not accessible for everybody, so we can start in September, November, January, February, April or June, just to give you that little bit more flexibility in terms of starting your education when works for you. We also do one module at a time. So most of the universities, you would do 3, maybe 4 modules together at the same time for a longer period, which we realise isn't really the best for our students. So what we do instead is we do one module at a time for about 6 weeks. You can live and breathe that module, do a couple of assessments, move on to the next one, just makes things a little bit easier. The next one, which I would argue is my favourite, is that we don't do exams. So there's a caveat to that. There are 2 courses that do involve exams, so that would be accounting and finance, and there's one little tiny one on computer science. But other than that, we try and keep everything as hands-on as humanly possible. So just basically we thought that it doesn't really make a great way of really assessing our young people. So much riding on just one day. So what we do is we do hands-on assessments, so that could be projects, that could be presentations, that could be essays, could be anything really to apply theory to practice to make sure our students can really showcase their knowledge. And then we also have a really key focus on character and personal development, which is all what the 92 programme is. So I'm joined today by Dan,
Hello.
who's the acting head of the 92 programme. Thank you so much for joining us.
More than welcome.
Can you tell us a little bit about what the 92 programme is more broadly, and then we'll go in more detail after that. Does that work?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so the 92 programme was originally conceptualised by the class of 92 when they created UA92. So the 92 programme effectively is a module that you will study here with us at UA92, which focuses on your individual character and personal development. So Gary Neville, when he set up UA92, basically realised that some individuals go through their whole degree programme in higher education without actually developing as a person, and there was so much emphasis on getting a degree and subject knowledge that actually some students may graduate and not have the characteristics or skill set required to actually thrive in industry.
So important.
So using his learnings from his time at Manchester United and the mentorship provided by Sir Alex Ferguson, he wanted to instil some of those characteristics and traits into the curriculum here at UA92.
Because they show that in the documentaries. There's been loads of documentaries
Yes.
lately, and they show loads of that, which is really nice to see. And I think when you watch them, you can really see how much they've grown. And it's so nice that our students are able to get a similar sort of experience in terms of development.
Absolutely. So whilst we don't put you in the kitchen staff or whilst you're not there cleaning other people's boots here at UA92, what you will be doing is having a real diverse range of different learning experiences alongside your degree programme and subject area of study. So the 92 programme is embedded across your programme of study, so it doesn't matter what module you study here with us at UA92. There'll be an emphasis on developing the core person and those personal traits to really help you thrive in industry. And how that kind of works is rather than always sit there and tell you what you must do to be resilient or tell you what you must do to be professional, actually, what we're trying to do is raise your self-awareness around those traits and around those characteristics to really emphasise that actually it's the individual person that matters. And actually it's your understanding of what it means for you in those different environments to really thrive as an individual.
Yeah, so important, I think, in terms of making sure that our students have the ability, as we say, to unlock their greatness.
Absolutely.
I feel like that's going to be really important for them in the future. So what are some specific areas that the students can expect to develop?
So I think fundamentally what we're trying to achieve throughout the 92 programme is developing skills for lifelong learning. Yeah. Learning isn't easy. Believe me, as somebody who's gone all the way through the education system here in the UK, learning isn't easy. Learning is something that's tough, and learning is something that doesn't ever stop. But actually what we can try and do is develop your skill sets to help you learn better. Yeah. Whether that be here with us at UA 92 or actually when you have left with us and are thriving out in industry, we're providing you with a skill set or developing your skill set to encourage that learning process to be everlasting. Yeah. So how we try and do that is we break that down into, I guess, 4 key themes at the moment. And those 4 key themes currently are around your wellness, your personal development, your professionalism and your strengths.
So important.
So what we try and do with those themes is rather than get you in a lecture theatre or in a classroom and just tell you what those themes are, we try and ensure that you are provided with a range of diverse learning experiences, at times tailored towards your degree programme, but also utilising our industry partners to come and co-create and co-construct that curriculum so that you are understanding the importance of those themes in a workplace environment. So actually what might happen in your first year of study is you might raise your awareness around different practices associated with wellness, what professionalism might look like across different environments and how that might change. For example, if you're on a PE degree, being professional in front of a range of primary school children will be very different compared to when you're leading a staff team in a departmental meeting, for example. Actually, what we're trying to do at level 4 is maybe raise your awareness around some of those key different concepts, all the way through to your final year of study when actually you're trying to refine your application of those different skill sets. So encouraging you to think about different characteristics and different situations that might help you think about what it might be to be professional in those different environments and actually what practices are you putting in place to ensure that you are really thriving.
Yeah, lifelong learning, as you said before, is so important. That's something that I've only started doing fairly recently. So I'm 26, and I feel like the fact that we're starting those students early, doing that at 18, think about how far that's going to be able to take them, especially if they do keep that mindset of constantly going forward. That's going to be so valuable to them. But growth is something that's it's going to look different for everybody.
Absolutely.
So how do we kind of keep track of that for the 92 programme? Like, how do you kind of do that?
So everyone has a unique journey.
Yeah.
Everyone's journey to higher education is unique. Everyone's journey post higher education is unique. And I'd be wrong sitting here and tell you that we're going to grade you on how resilient you are or how professional you are. Yeah. Because some individuals might come to UA 92 after having a career out in industry and wanting to retrain.
Of course.
They might already have a range of different skill sets. Some individuals might come to UA 92 having never worked in employment at all. And that's okay and that's great. So what we try and do here with the UA 92 programme is focus on that personal growth and your personal development. And we capture that through the form of a learning journal. Okay. Whereby we're encouraging students to document a lot of their own individual experiences, whether that be out in industry, whether that be caring responsibilities, whether that be taking part in some of the university sport teams, for example, and actually take those learnings that they have from those day-to-day experiences and reflect on them. What does it mean to that individual? How can we capture that individual's growth through their developing self-awareness across their years of study here with us at UA 92? So students, as part of the 92 programme, can engage on a range of different experiences, whether that be industry insights that we provide, whether that be from authentic assessments, whether that be from engaging in extracurricular activity here at UA 92, or whether that be actually going out and working in the real world, whether that be gaining an internship off your own back, whether that be thinking about raising a young family and actually some of the challenges that come from that. What can we learn from those experiences? So we want to capture those wide range of experiences as part of the individual's growth. And we try and capture that through the learning journal, which will form part of your submission for the 92 programme.
I suppose that's one thing that I love about UA 92 is that we really do try and be as accessible. And so because of that, we get a really wide variety of the kind of students that come. And it's great to see that we're kind of really incorporating that into their learning as well. Because like you say, everyone's going to have a different kind of life before and after UA 92. So in terms of the modules of the 92 programme, how do we kind of encourage the students to think about like their values and the impact and like applying all of that to their academic and their professional kind of future?
Yeah, so again, because it's one module that you'll study here at UE 92 across each different year of study, that provides us with an opportunity to explore values and how they might shift and change across your degree programme. So for example, when I first joined university, I quite enjoyed my social life. I enjoyed, exploring this new world outside around me and this kind of newfound freedom that I had when I joined higher education. And that element of connectedness was really important for me at that point. Yet when I got to my final year of study, my values had completely changed.
Absolutely.
I was more focused on my academic study, more focused on staying true to myself, being authentic to myself, rather than exploration. So as part of the 92 programme, we'll try and encourage students to explore their own values, what's important to them, how are they acting on those values, and actually do their behaviours align to those values.
Because there's going to be so much shifting. Because when you think about who you are when you join at 18 versus who you are when you graduate, or regardless of how old you are when you kind of start university, there's so much growth that happens and there's so much learning about yourself, even without the 92 programme. So with it, I can imagine that that self-understanding really does kind of catapult you to thinking differently. Yeah,
definitely. And I think what we see with our students is the decisions that they make shift alongside those values. And what we're trying to do with the 92 programme is allow students to capture those experiences and capture their development and capture their journey really through the learning journal. And actually, as part of the assessment, students can reflect back on what they were like when they first joined at university compared to what they were like when they were about to leave university, and explore their growth and see their development real hand, and actually take those learnings and put them forward into that career in industry as best as possible. Because again, as part of your degree programme, you'll undergo a range of different learning experiences. You'll experience life for 3 years whilst you study here with us, or 2 years if you study an accelerated degree. And actually, it's really important that we try and capture those and capture your development as part of the 92 programme.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of speaking of that, like that learning and everything, so they don't just do that on their own, do they? They get taught elements of that. So in terms of the teaching staff who are part of the journey of the 92 programme, what kind of values and kind of experiences can they apply to that? Like, how does that help their journey?
Yeah, so the 92 programme is embedded across your modules of study. So whilst it is a separate module and it is credit bearing towards your degree, it's sort of taught within your module of study. So for example, you might be doing a sports psychology module, exploring your own personal development. You might be doing a cyber security module whilst exploring your strengths and what it might look like in your industry. And that's where the academic staff really come into their own in terms of sharing their experiences, either in research or in applied practice, and actually as leading experts in their area, crafting the subject-specific expertise whilst developing the person. So that's where the module staff really come into their own in terms of trying to ensure that they're putting your development first alongside developing your subject knowledge, because again, subject knowledge is great, but what's really important is how that subject knowledge can be applied in the real world, and that application usually happens in teams or working with people around you. So actually their experience of working in those environments and working in industry can really be brought to life through understanding your development as well. But I think actually alongside that, one of the important things is, yes, it's great that it's delivered by your academic staff and academic staff team, but the 92 programme works really, really closely with industry, and it works really closely with our industry partners in terms of making sure that the concepts and what we're trying to explore are both relevant and also are setting you up for a career in that field. So we do that through industry injections, whether that be through conference days, whereby we have a range of guest speakers come in and students can tailor their day according to which sessions that they want to attend, for example, and actually hear from industry experts that they feel like might resonate best with themselves at that time. So for example, a student may have an interview coming up, and actually as part of that day of development, students may opt to engage in employability surgery, for example. So they're getting immediate support when they need it directly. And that may be developed with industry experts, whether that be through a masterclass or a workshop, for example. But it's really important that we are putting industry first at the heart of your development.
So that kind of goes into everything we do at UE 92 in terms of having, like we said before, we have around 100 partners that we work with. So we have a really nice varied pool of different companies and people that we can kind of rely on for this, which is it's great. And especially if they have the option as part of these conferences to really take a bit of control in terms of what it is that they need, and especially if they have that understanding of themselves as well. So in terms of, so you were saying that it's applied to their course, it's
Yes.
applied to how they learn, but how do they actually learn it?
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Sorry if that's a weird question.
No, it's not a weird question. It's something that kind of often comes up because we're
Yeah.
talking about personal development.
Because nobody else has this
and
at
well,
university. It's very confusing.
You can't always teach personal development.
Exactly.
It often just happens. So whilst some of the sessions that we might put on may be more content driven in terms of understanding the principles associated with wellness or understanding what personal development might look like for you as an individual, actually what we try and do is ensure that we're raising students' self-awareness through their typical learning activities. So most learning activities designed here at UA92 are designed with industry in mind, whether that be through practical hands-on experiences such as a hackathon or such as an insight day where on a PE programme, for example, you might be delivering to primary school students or secondary school students, or as part of your business degree, you're working on a live project, for example. Those experiences that are related directly to your subject are really key, and actually they really prepare you, but often that comes with an element of growth as well, in terms of actually understanding that applied example and what it means to complete a task that you might be required to complete in industry. That could be anxiety inducing, it could be fear provoking, but it could also be confidence raising as well. So in terms of how is it taught, well actually we lean on some of those experiences and we lean on how those experiences help you develop as a person and raise your self-awareness in those professional experiences to ensure that your personal development is at the heart of what you're doing.
So they kind of bleed into each other effectively, like the academic side can be applied to the 92 program and vice versa.
Absolutely. So your personal development at UA92 is at the heart of everything that we do. So I often describe it as your character and personal development is at the core, and your academic subject area of study is interwoven throughout that a little bit.
Yeah.
So no matter what you're doing here at UA92, whether that be your subject mode of study, whether that be engaging in extracurricular activities, or whether that be actually because of our timetable being AM or PM, you might choose to go and work and either pursue a career in industry or work a job that helps put you through university. Well, they're great experiences.
Absolutely.
You're working with people, you are learning the skill set that you are required to have in industry. So let's lean on that. Let's lean on those experiences. Let's draw out some of those key learnings in your classroom with us as the 92 programme team to really emphasise that actually personal development happens day to day. It doesn't just happen in a set hour, in a set seminar room. You learn through doing, and that's the most important thing.
So I suppose by doing it that way as well, it's encouraging them, once they've graduated and they're working in the workplace, that they don't see it as two separate things, that they can still bleed into that. Even after graduation, they're still thinking about their personal development because they can see themselves doing everything with that.
And going full circle, that's where the lifelong learning comes in. Because otherwise, if we're not focusing on developing the skill set for lifelong learning, actually you might leave university because the focus isn't on it. That's it. We're sort of done. Whereas actually moving forward, you're developing the skill set to make sure you are continually learning, continually developing your skill set, so you're not just surviving in industry, you're thriving.
Of course, because that is fundamentally what it is that we want to do at UA92. It's not just giving you a degree and saying, right, here's a little piece of paper, say that you've got a degree, right, crack on. We really do want to make sure that our students are thriving, which is always great to see. We've got a few cohorts of students now who've graduated. It's really great to see what it is that they're up to afterwards. So in terms of our students, speaking of our fantastic students, do you have any examples of how the 92 programme has really directly impacted some of them?
Yeah, I've got a few. So the 92 programme, or at least an iteration of the 92 programme, has been experienced. Because
it's changed, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a module that continually develops, it continually evolves, depending on the needs of industry and the needs of our students as well.
Of course.
So one example to spring to mind of a student who was coming up to the last couple of modules of study here at UA92, and they were kind of worrying about their identity. You know, they'd been a student for 3 years, they didn't necessarily know what life was outside of being a student, and they were starting to have a bit of a panic around what they were going to do post-university. As part of the 92 programme and focusing on the students' personal development and focusing on their strengths, they're able to really narrow down their career path and what they wanted to achieve in their future career to have a meaningful employment. And actually what we explored with that student was meaningful employment for them wasn't just doing some good in society. It was going home, being able to put food on the table for their family.
Yeah, in terms of values, like you were saying before.
100%. So those exploring those values, exploring how they developed and exploring how they changed and how they will change given that they're moving out into industry. That was one example. There was another example of a student who came to university and didn't necessarily see the value in the 92 programme, especially in their first year where, you know, it can be quite hard to conceptualise, thinking that you're coming here to study a particular module or a particular degree programme, but actually we're focusing on you and your personal development. But over their, I think it was 2 years because he was an accelerated degree student, over their 2 years of study with us, you started to see him really come alive and come out of his shell a bit more. And as part of his submission when he was reflecting on the 92 programme and his own personal development, he credited a couple of individual sessions that he'd had with external speakers as being really influential for his growth and for his personal development.
Yeah.
And he actually said to me afterwards, without those experiences, he's not sure he'd be in the position that he's in today in terms of actually knowing his career path, knowing what he wanted to do, because he came to university because it was just the next step for him, and actually it was, you know, just following the pathway. So that was really, really important and really impactful for me.
I think that a lot of students get that though, is that they'll be in college or in sixth form, and especially if other people in their family have been to university, or depending on, especially if they go to a sixth form, university is just naturally the next step, and they don't really think much further beyond that. And so, as we were saying before, with like when you get to your third year, you start realising, oh my gosh, like I need to do something now.
Absolutely.
I need to do something with this.
Absolutely.
So, came round.
And I think it's one of those as well where actually, you know, we are providing a range of different learning experiences here at UE92, whether that be in the classroom and it's subject specific, or whether that be as part of the 92 programme. We try and expose students to a range of different learning experiences. But it's not just actually what we can provide, it's what students bring to those experiences as well, in terms of what they're trying to get out of the session, what they're trying to get out of their different experiences with industry or with those academic staff.
Yeah.
And that's, again, really important. And I think there was a recent graduate, Troy.
Yes.
And Troy...
We have a video on that we'll play in a second.
Brilliant. Troy is one of our graduates who really emphasised and took the reins on one of his experiences out in industry. And that's helped him to be in the position that he's in now.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to play a video about Troy now. If you have any questions for us, bob them in the chat while the video is playing, and we'll get to them afterwards. So we'll get to play.
My name is Troy, and I graduated from UE92 with a business degree, and I'm currently a deals execution analyst at KPMG Acceleris. The thing I miss most about being a student is just the general vibe and culture of the uni, because all the people and staff were incredible. I got this current position because UE92 each month send out a list of opportunities with the partners that they have. I did know that KPMG was a partner, but I didn't know much about what they did or what the actual business sort of entailed. So as a student, I had the opportunity to go over to the KPMG offices for various insight days that they ran. And then also one of my industry mentors was an employee at KPMG. I would say the CPD modules really helped me with processes like goal setting, as that is definitely something which I found that I use massively in terms of my actual job at KPMG, but then also in terms of my day-to-day life as well, and setting goals for the future and aspirations that I have. In 10 years' time, I want my own business in some form. I would say I've always been fairly entrepreneurial in terms of my traits, and I really want the ability to try and build something from the scratch. The advice I would give to new graduates would be to genuinely really make the most out of all the opportunities that you can at university, and especially at UE92 with the amazing network of partners and contacts that you do get access to, because that was certainly a massive advantage that I had when applying for this role.
Fabulous. I always love hearing about Troy because he really does embody UE92 and everything that we try. He's absolutely brilliant. So we've had one question come through. Is the UE92 programme accredited? Like, is there any weighting to your degree?
Yes, it's one of the best things about it, in my opinion, is we're giving you credits about your personal development. So the 92 programme is credited differently depending on what your level of study. So at the moment it is 20 credits at your level 4, which is your first year, 20 credits in your second year, and then 15 credits in your final year. And what that really allows us to do is it allows us to give you the opportunity to focus on your personal development as part of your degree programme. And for me, that's something that can be missing in other in higher education in general, is that often personal development happens as a bit of a bolt-on to your degree, and actually, you know, because it isn't credit bearing or as emphasised as it is here at UA 92, there isn't time for students to focus on their personal development, and it isn't really captured as well as it can be. So the fact it is credit bearing for us and helps towards your degree classification really makes sure that as academic staff focus on your personal development and gives you the opportunity and time to focus on your personal development during your programme of study with us here at UA 92.
Yeah, fab. Another question that we've had is, so you were talking about the skills and the modules. Are they repeated every year? Or is it just do you do them once and you've got different ones every single year?
Yeah, so we have 4 bespoke themes. So those themes, again, are personal development, professionalism, wellness and strengths.
Okay.
And as part of our spiralised curriculum that we have here in the 92 programme, what we're asking students to do is, you may be exposed to those themes initially in your first year, yet actually how you develop that in your second year goes up a notch. And again up a notch again in your third year. So you might be introduced to core concepts in your first year. You know, what is wellness, what is professionalism, what is strengths, what is personal development. And by the time you get to your final year of study with us, we're really focusing on them. We're asking you, what are you doing to improve your wellness? How are you refining your wellness practices? What are the key things that you're doing at times where your workload gets really high compared to when your workload is quite low? How are you managing your time effectively? You know, and asking those questions of students specifically, ensuring that they're developing those skill sets appropriately with the right support. So by the time that you leave us here at UA 92, you are feeling prepared for your future career.
Absolutely brilliant. I know in terms of, not to make this about me, but I know that would have been absolutely life-changing if that was me in their position. And I know that a lot of students, when they first start, they kind of go, oh, why are we learning about this? Because they think that they've got set ideas of what university is. And then so when we try and introduce something a bit different, because looking inwards and self-reflection is difficult.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a skill more than I think a lot of people realise. So that's absolutely brilliant that we're doing all of that. So thank you so much, Dan, for coming in and spending your evening with us and answering those amazing questions. If you do have any more questions, you can either put them in the chat now or you can email us. You can email us at futures@ua92.ac.uk. We also have open days coming up. We have one this Saturday. So if you want to register for that event, if you want to come and visit us, learn more about UA 92, really get a feel for the place, then you are absolutely more than welcome to come and join us for that. We have more webinars coming up. So we're going to be looking at student finance. We're going to be looking at running on personal statements. We're going to be looking at all sorts of different things that you'll be needing as part of your university application journey. So come and join us for those. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your evening and see you soon.